welcome to the Upshot Oldie World Disc Golf podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield. It is Thursday, February 2nd. It's already February of 2023. I don't really know. I feel like the time just goes past, and I can't keep up with it anymore. To be clear, we are recording this on Tuesday because Josh is going to be traveling. Josh, where are you headed?
I'm going to Clearwater, Florida, flying into Tampa Bay tomorrow on Wednesday. And then I'll be in Florida for a conference that I'm speaking at through Sunday. But I will be bringing my Rufus as my personal item. I'm playing some disc golf on Saturday. So any of the Florida locals, I need to know where's the best place to play around Clearwater. I will have access to a rental car, but I'd prefer to stay as close to Clearwater as possible.
Now, this is a little crazy. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I am also going to be in Tampa this weekend.
No way.
Yes.
What are you going to be in Tampa?
I'm going to Tampa for a college ultimate tournament. It's a classic, the Florida warm-up. It's on the USF's campus from Friday to Sunday. And I also know of a great disc golf course for you to play. In fact, I would say it's the one you got to play. I'm not a Tampa local, but it's the one I always play when I'm in town.
Okay.
And I always play on Sunday afternoon. I don't know if you'll still be available Sunday.
I will not. I fly out Sunday at 7.
I don't think I'm going to be able to come out with you on Saturday, unfortunately. Maybe we can get dinner or drinks.
Yes, we'll have to do that then. Yeah.
Amazing. This is we did not discuss this in real time. I knew Josh was going to Florida, and that was all I knew.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. When do you fly in?
I get in Thursday at like 6. Maybe I can change my flight.
If you could do a little earlier, I think we might go to a Lightning game and go watch the Lightning play.
Ooh.
You want to come with us to a Lightning game?
On Thursday?
Yeah.
We'll see.
They're playing Colorado Avalanche.
What time's the game start?
I think the game starts at 7.
Oh, I think even if I stay on my original flight, I can make the game. We'll talk off the air. We'll exchange details off the air.
There we go.
Oh my gosh, Josh and I are kind of in it. We're in a little bit of a laughy mood right now because we've been preparing for today's show, which is our classic buy, sell, hold. It's our stock show, and we got to decide, where are we investing, where are we divesting, what are we just sitting tight on, trying to collect those dividends. We do this periodically throughout the season, and this is our preseason buy, sell, hold. So this should be a fun one, Josh. I know that I have no idea what my portfolio is, but I just assume that I can buy, sell, or hold any of the players.
That's the best part about this is like, there is a very real possibility that last preseason I sold all of one player that I'm about to just like hold or sell again, and who knows? Like, because nothing matters.
You're shorting the stock.
Nothing matters. This is our game. We make up the prices and the portfolios as we go. So it's just a great time.
It's like, whose line is it anyway?
That's
a throwback for our somewhat older listeners. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started.
Okay.
And I think we should start, come out with a bang and declare our buys to begin. We're doing a little bit more structure than normal. We get to choose 2 MPO and 2 FPO players to buy, to sell, and to hold in each category. So, Josh, I will let you go ahead and go first.
All right. My first buy is going to be Gannon Buhr. So, look, Gannon's already got a pretty high stock price, right? He won the major and was incredibly consistent all season. I think that given his circumstances of being done with school, the ability for him to have another season that keeps him in a similar spot, if not higher, is actually pretty high, given that he doesn't have to be as consistent if he can just close out 1 or 2 tournaments. We could have been talking about Gannon in Player of the Year discussion with just 2 tournaments breaking differently his way. Think like MVP Open and final round, when he was also right there and had the opportunity and could have won it. So LVC being the obvious one.
I think if LVC happens 6 months later, he wins.
Right. So,
I think, there's just a little bit of like first time jitters.
Any of those tournaments break differently. Gannon of the Buhr. We have to be talking about
Gannon of the Buhr.
We have to be talking about Gannon Buhr as a Player of the Year candidate, and those things feel replicable to me again for him. And so I'm going to buy more Gannon Buhr stock.
It's a bold buy, but I feel like Gannon Buhr is somebody where, like, even if it feels like the stock price is high right now, like, he has the potential to be a generational talent.
Yes.
And, like, you know, if you bought Tom Brady stock after his first Super Bowl when his stock was at an all-time high, you'd be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Come to the 49ers and save us, please, Tom. You're like 50 years old, but maybe you won't get hurt somehow. Okay, so my first buy, this is a sneaky one.
Okay.
Nate Sexton.
Ooh.
Now, Nate Sexton, you know, he's probably on the wrong side of the age curve at this point. He's probably past his absolute best days of true ceiling, you know?
I don't think you need to qualify that with a probably. Like,
okay,
I think he's past his ceiling.
We'll see. But the thing is, he is about to start playing again in earnest. Now, he has largely taken time off tour. As a result, you know, he's still competitive at the majors. It's been pretty interesting to see him out there being really competitive. But his stock price has slid. There's just no doubt about it. Like, he's not on people's minds. You know, he's not out there doing anything for you. So you're going to unload the stock. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to scoop up shares right now because he is already scheduled to be at the first 4 Elite Series of the season. He's going back on tour. And that is a huge deal because I think that he may show us that he is still a top 10 in the world player week in and week out. I mean, he has shown us that when he's been healthy and he's gone to majors, he has been that guy. Now, it's a little bit of a risk, but I think the price is like low enough right now that I can still feel pretty confident, just simple volume, that he's going to make it up for me.
I think that's a great pick. All the points, I mean, just great highlights of Nate being, I think, low for somebody of his caliber. I think he's past his prime, but that's not to say he doesn't have plenty of gas left in the tank.
My second pick, I'll go and we can snake draft back to you. This is a little bit more. There's some players. There's a lot of players that I could take the second spot. I could pick, like an Alden Harris type, some up and coming player who is not there yet but is showing real promise. Kevin Kiefer. There's a lot of players, but I'm trying to swing for the fences. I'm going to buy Eagle McMahon shares when he is still under the fog of uncertainty of this injury. And I don't really know where his price is. It's certainly not at an all-time high. You know, how much in a hypothetical market it would have come down, it's hard to say. But, you know, there's obviously the promise of him coming back and being the world number one. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to take my chances. I think that Eagle has shown us already that he is capable of being just as competitive as before he threw forehand, you know, as almost as far as anybody on tour. He can dial that back. He can only throw, let's say, 400-foot forehands or whatever.
Oh, darn.
And he's going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. He's going to be fine. Like,
yes.
you don't have to have the forehand for the, like, ultra long holes.
Yep.
You just can go ahead and throw the backhand, and that is fine. There's almost no players on tour who are really relying on the forehand on holes where you really require a 500-plus foot shot. So I think he can easily adjust to that. And assuming he stays healthy, which I am taking a risk there, but
absolutely.
I'm being compensated in the fact that the price is lower because of it. So
correct.
I'm going back in on Eagle. I think that, you know, he has a chance to come back this season and win Player of the Year and then be the number one guy in the world for a decade.
Yep.
I mean, he really, truly has that talent.
I think you're absolutely right. If I had to pick stock price relative to other players, I would probably put Eagle at like around the number 5 spot.
Interesting.
In price. I really think like Paul and Ricky and Calvin, I think, are all ahead of him right now because of the fog of uncertainty, right?
What about Gannon?
I think Gannon, Simon, Eagle, all are right in like the same.
Dickerson,
I think is a little lower. It's been a while since he's won. So I think Dickerson's a little low. So I'd probably put him in the 5, probably behind Simon right now because of the MVP hype, but ahead of Gannon. But again, very flux. I think it's a great place to buy Eagle, though. It's not often you're going to find Eagle that far down the price leaderboard.
I mean, if he's playing, he's probably going to be finishing pretty well.
I'd agree with that.
The question is whether he's playing. So your second buy.
Yeah, my second buy, Linus Carlson. Look, I talk often about how much potential I see in the European side. And I've got to put my money where my mouth is. And that means putting stock in one of them. And I think that Linus is really going to benefit from GMC, or for Worlds being in place of GMC at Smuggler's Notch. He played really well there last year. He tied for 8th. He also, though, was 5th at MVP and 3rd at Butler County. So an end of the season with a really strong performance. I think he's going to have the opportunity to do the same thing, except this time it's going to be at a major, and nothing but an increase of nothing like a solid performance at a major will increase your stock price. So I think Linus is pretty low right now relative to a lot of other players around his rating, just because of the European bias a little bit, right? That we haven't seen European men close out the tournament. And so I think it's a good opportunity to buy when he has shown some strength near the end of the season, where it's going to get a little major boost.
I find it hard to argue with that. I mean, I think any player who either finished strong or like moved a bunch up in the rankings, but is still down in the like 30 to 50 range is a pretty sensible place to begin when you're thinking about where you want to buy. I think buys are the easy part in some ways. So let us move on to the holds. FPO buys. What am I talking about?
I thought we were going to do all buys. MPO and then go back to FPO, but
we can do that.
You want to do that?
Let's do that. Let's do that. So hold MPO. I'll go first. I'm going to hold my Calvin Heimberg stock.
I remember,
seems like a classic hold.
You bought a lot of contract year Calvin last year.
I did. And
you're going to hold all of it.
I think, did it pay off? I mean, I feel like...
I don't think you've lost money on it.
I don't think I lost money.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of flat. I'm just going to collect the dividends on this one.
All right.
I think it was going to be right there, back there, doing the same thing. I actually think in some ways it may be beneficial. You know, I'm saying this now with the benefit of hindsight. Maybe beneficial for Calvin to have the like contract stuff out of the way.
Maybe.
He got the money. He's got his bag. He doesn't want to deal with all that.
Yeah.
He just wants to go play disc golf. And now he can do that. He doesn't have to worry about all that stuff. Now he has an agent and whatnot, but it's still it weighs on you some to have to deal with those things. So go back out there, and I don't know that I necessarily see Calvin leveling up. I mean, there's not that many places to go up from where he already is, but I don't see him dropping off. I just think he's going to be right there, super consistent, like he has been now for 2-3 seasons. And so I'm just going to sit on my stock.
I like the pick. I am going to sit on my Paul McBeth stock. Paul is still at an inflated price. I mean, look, Paul always is at a very, very high price, but I think it's still a little bit inflated by the rolling out of the 6X stuff, right? I mean, you got the claw discs and all the merch that's still kind of coming out. And so the world championship win is still inflating that price kind of high, but I don't see it dropping, right? I think he's going to keep playing well. He probably could win he probably will win a major this year, and combining those factors means I just think it'd be crazy to get rid of my Paul McBeth stock right now. Look, we said it a couple times where it felt like there was possibly a changing of the guard, where there was Paul McBeth was deteriorating a bit, and every time we say that, he comes back and proves us wrong. And I think for a preseason analysis, I don't see any reason why Paul McBeth couldn't do next season what he did this season. So, holding all my Paul McBeth stock.
I think the only Paul McBeth risk is lower DGPT finish because he's playing fewer events. But is that really going to matter if he wins major too?
No, it really won't.
It's hard to. There will come a day when it's right to offload the Paul Macbeth stock, but I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
Oh no, you go to your second one. Go ahead.
Yeah. My second one is Kyle Klein. I lost money on Kyle Klein last year because I think I bought a lot of Kyle Klein stock going into the season, and he's finished strong, but had a disappointing start to the season. My hope is that this season is going to be a little bit more regular, that he's prepared for the tour, that he's not going to have the slow start, and he'll play strong on the finish end as well, and at the tournaments that, again, major at Smuggler's Notch. I am not quite willing to abandon this stock, and I'm hoping to make some money back. So I'm holding my Kyle
Spoken
Klein
like a true
stock.
bag holder. Just sitting here trying to talk yourself into it. Maybe if I keep holding, eventually I'll get back to even.
Yeah, I'm gonna get there. I really believe it. But yeah, I lost money on Kyle Klein.
I will say I think it makes sense to hold because I think selling would be a mistake. If anything, you would want to average down and buy. I actually had him on my consideration for a buy list because he did have a strong finish to the season, which to me means he kind of started to get back. Like there was a natural situation where he's transitioning to life on the road. The going in the van, the whole deal. It takes time to get used to that, and I think we saw that reflected in his performance at the beginning of the year. But the fact that he finished the season quite strong gives me confidence in his ability moving forward, and I just think he's also in a spot where he has some he has some reason to try to raise his profile. Right? Simon's gone from Discmania now. This is a good opportunity year for him from a business professional sense. So I think it makes sense to hold. If you were selling, it would be a terrible time to lock in.
Yeah, and if I hadn't bought so much last year, then
he's young.
He's young.
My second hold is Gannon Burr. Now, look,
Yeah.
It feels a little early to me to want to double down and buy. I just think, he's got a ton of talent. There's no way in the world I'd consider selling what I have. Do I want to load up more? Let me see it for a year.
Yeah.
I think if we see a strong year from Gannon, buy City, because I think that then you're looking at a player who, like I said, could be, just a true superstar. He's the next one after Eagle, where you look at it and you say, this player is just truly gifted and has a chance to do huge things and be the world number one. So Eagle is quite a bit older than Gannon. So I think it'll be very interesting to see if those two end up ever having kind of a rivalry of some kind because they rise to the top as we transition eras. I think we're still a few years away from that, but going to be interesting. So yeah, I'm happy to hold that stock, and it would be crazy to sell it. That's for
crazy
sure.
to sell it.
Even off of a good year.
Yes. Yeah. I think the biggest risk in holding it is that you're going to pay 3 times what I'm paying right now for some additional Gannon stock if he has a good year next year.
It's 100% true. Josh, who are you selling?
So I think we have. I'm going to start with my second sell. My second sell is Matty-O. Here's the thing. I bought some Matty-O stock last year, and Matty-O did exactly what Matty-O did the year before that. And Matty-O is going to keep doing what he does the year before that, and the year after that, and the year that he's in. We know what Matty-O is. We know who Matty-O is. But the problem is that everybody around Matty-O is getting better. And Matty-O is not raising to that same level as consistent. He's consistent, but he's not winning, and he's not getting any younger. And so I think it's time. Even if he wins right now, I feel comfortable, because if he, Matty-O, I'm just waiting. There's going to be a year where they're like, oh, Matty-O, Mr. Consistent, and then he's going to drop like a rock. And even if it means I miss out on some profits this year, I don't want to be hanging on to that bag when the bottom falls out. And so I'm getting rid of it. I'm done. My Matty-O stock is gone. and I wish him nothing but the best.
Okay. I wish him nothing but the best. My first sell, and this is the world's most obvious alarm flashing, get out now, sell situation of all time, is Simon Lizotte.
And this is where we agree.
I'm sorry. I think Simon's a great player. I think he could have another great season.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't shock me if he won a couple tournaments. It wouldn't shock me if he, was upright in a similar spot in the DGPT standings. Even the thing is, he's not going to win 4 Elite Series events, and he's switching bags. I'm sorry. I think we're going to probably see a little bit of dip in the putting performance as he has to adjust to that. I think he's not going to have that much time to even get acclimated to the new discs. The guy is incredibly talented. I mean, there's like, you go on his Instagram and he's like, let me throw a speed 5 and a speed 7 and a speed 9. Look at these new discs I'm trying in my bag. And he throws all of them and they're all like into the same 10-foot radius on like completely different angles. Some of them are super stable. Some of them are understable. He's crazy. Mm-hmm. He's so talented. I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff or anything, but he's also just coming off the best season of his career, and he's making a bag switch, and he had a lot of inconsistency. It's not like he was like finishing 6-6-6-6, first 6-6, third, first, second, fifth.
It was first or 50.
It was
baby.
Like 40th, first, 22nd, 25th, first. Which I don't feel good about trying to like hope for that again. So I'm gonna just go ahead and sell here at the top.
Yeah.
And when he inevitably has some issues with adjust some. I mean, we'll see if he has any issues adjusting at all. A lot of times players don't really. Mm-hmm. But let's say he doesn't play that great for the first few events of the season. Maybe I'm going to come back in there on our first buy, sell, hold, and pick up some stock again. But for now, I'm out.
The one other question I have for you then, Charlie, is what do you think it takes this season to raise Simon's profile? Is it any major?
Multiple wins, including a major.
Okay. What happens if he just wins Worlds? Is that enough?
If he plays well enough the rest of the season, I think that would be enough.
Okay.
I think so. He the thing holding him back is the major win.
It really is. I honestly think that's actually an advantage. Like advantage Simon is that because he doesn't have the major win, one win in a major, I think I agree with you. Like I think one win in a major probably is enough to raise his profile because he gets the elusive major. It's actually an advantage for him. If he'd won a couple majors already and then had the 4-win season, it's hard to go up from there. Hard to go up, but he has an opportunity here. But I agree with you. I selling my Simon Lizotte stock too.
He's got a real prove the doubters wrong season coming up for sure.
Yeah, he does.
My other sell is Jeremy Colling. Look, I like Big Germ a lot. I think he's a great guy, and I just think he doesn't have it anymore. He's gotten a little too old, and he just simply doesn't have it anymore. And I think there's a chance that maybe he starts to take on more media roles and stops playing as much. Which is fine. I think that'd be great. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's clearly the next phase of his career, and there's nothing wrong with all of that. And I'm sure that he's going to be, he'd be upset like if he's not competing as well as he feels that he can. But I just, except for a couple of specific layouts, I just don't think he's got what it takes anymore.
You are going to rue this day when Jeremy Colmy becomes the first 40-year-old to win USDGC. I think it's a good call. I really hope he wins USDGC in his 40s. I want him to be the oldest player to ever win, but it makes a lot of sense. There's just so many opportunities nowadays for people who are gifted commentators and media professionals that didn't exist before, and he's going to be increasingly pulled in that direction. Right. So. All right.
Did you do your other one already? Oh,
mine was Matty O. I started with Matty O, so we could do the Simon one together.
So we actually each have a bonus as well. So let's do our bonus, and then we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back for FPO. My bonus is a buy. You can choose any category for your bonus.
Mm-hmm.
My bonus is a buy. I am buying Adam Hammis stock. Now, if you recall, Josh, last offseason, after Adam Hammis had his career best year, I unloaded all of my stock. And I was so right. And now I'm buying back in. Okay. I think he's really talented. I think he's going to be adjusting a little bit better. He also had some nice finishes towards the end of the season. He was 8th at GMC. He had a bunch of top 10s like down the stretch. Preserve, Idlewild, Ledgestone, and GMC. That was after kind of a terrible start to the year. I mean, he did have a top 10 at LVC, but a lot of bad showings in the 30s and stuff. And so way off what he had done a year prior. But I think this is a great opportunity for a bounce back year for Hammis, who, by the way, just showed us at the distance competition that he can bomb. I mean, I think I knew he could throw far, but like not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So give me some Adam Hammis stock. I'm back in.
My bonus, the one, the only family-friendly favorite, Nico LaCastro.
Oh.
Look, we are one season removed from Nico winning an Elite Series event. Right? Well,
it's true.
Not last season, season before, won Waco.
I mean, I was looking at the stats the other day, kind of thinking about some of this stuff, like who's poised for a good year.
Uh-huh.
Nico's stats are really good.
They are.
His peripheral stats are really good. He is an excellent disc golfer.
I think it was I don't quote me on any of this. Someone tweeted that Nico was like the only player to win an Elite Series event in the 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s.
I believe that is true.
Yeah. I don't know who tweeted it. I think that was what the stat was. Someone can correct me if I'm incorrect on that. But look, Nico could have a good season, and he now has an army of people who are required to throw his brand of discs. It's great. It is. You cannot get lower stock than Nico right now, and there is a good chance that he's going to give us some return on that.
I think if you'd bought right after the European Open stuff before the suspension was announced, you probably could have gotten maximum
penny. It was a penny stock at that point.
As soon as that happened, it was just off a cliff.
Yeah,
a penny stock.
So Charlie,
they almost delisted it.
I have one more bonus buy.
Okay.
Breaking news. Denver Broncos have hired Sean Payton as their next head coach.
Wow.
Buying Broncos stock, baby. I'm doing it again.
Can he unlock Russell Wilson? It can only
let Russ cook.
You can only let Russ cook. You can only go up from here, Josh.
I just bought Russell Wilson and Nico LaCastro in the same show.
Oh man. You know, when there's blood in the streets, that's when you're buying.
That's right.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, our FPO buy, sell, and hold picks coming up.
At Pound, the quality of our gear runs deeper than the stitching. That's why we make everything right here in the U.S., employing highly skilled, well-paid professionals. From bomb-proof Cordura fabric to YKK zippers and recycled plastics, we source the highest quality U.S. materials to make the most comfortable, durable pack in disc golf. Our lifetime warranty stays with the pack, not the purchaser. So regardless of how you find us, we will be here to make sure your pack stays on the course and out of the landfill. Pound's integrity is held together with more than just thread.
Welcome back to the Upshot. It is time to do some FPO stock trading. Let's go in reverse order. So we're going to start with our sells. Josh, who you got first on the chopping block?
Oh, man. This one was so hard. I think it's hard because so many of the FPO players feel like they're poised just to keep getting better.
I know.
That makes it difficult. But My first sell is going to be Katrina Allen. I don't even know if Katrina is really going to regress all that much. I mean, here's the thing. She still had a handful of wins, right? She won LVC. She got the Open at Belton. She got Idlewild. And then the most notable one, Throw Pink Women's Championship. That's a good slate of wins. She had some down parts, but the big thing about Katrina that I foresee, number one, I think it's going to always keep getting harder to win. We talk about this regularly. And so I wouldn't be surprised if some of those wins get taken away by other players, even if Katrina plays at the same level that she played at last season, shoots similar rated rounds. It's going to have a worse performance overall because of the strength of the field. Number two, I expect if Katrina has a good season next year, similar to this one, it's also going to be kind of an up-down motion rather than just a consistently good, like Kristen Tatar, for example. If that's the case, it makes the most sense to sell Katrina Allen stock coming off of her major win at the Throw Pink Women's Championship and then wait until she starts having a little bit harder time, maybe buy it back at that point. It's one that I think is you day trade Katrina Allen stocks, given how she's doing based in the season. But she's still a very strong player, but there's a lot of other good players coming up. And so that's why I'm selling Katrina Allen stock.
It's a bold move. I think she could have a better year even.
Ooh.
I think, remember when she was going through the hard part of the year, she was dealing with some real weird mechanical issues. Like her backhand swing was like totally broken and the timing was off. And then she like rediscovered that.
Yep.
And then beat everybody, including Kristen Tatar, at Throw Pink. And looked great doing it.
It's true.
So I just think you're probably right that you may get an opportunity where she goes through like a soft patch, but overall, like she could get more wins in 2023 than she did in 2022. It would not surprise me at all.
Maybe.
But okay, here we go. My first sell. I don't feel good about it. But I got to do it. Own Scoggins.
Should be ashamed of yourself.
Look, career best year. Over the age of 40. I just have to do the prudent thing in this case. It's a very similar situation to Simon, where like I don't think Own is going to drop off a cliff or anything. She clearly is. I mean, it's not like what would have to fall apart for her to drop off. She'd have to stop putting well. That's basically what would have to happen, because it's not like she's throwing so far that like her distance starts to really drop off. Her distance is never very good in the first place.
Right.
So she is a great golfer, and I think will continue to be a great golfer for a long time to come. But we just saw her play the best ever of her career, and I just don't know if I can count on that happening again. If nothing else, other players are going to get better at putting. She may still be the number one putter next year, but she may not be the number one putter by as much of a margin. This is just the smart thing to do. Now, what's going to happen is Own Scoggins is going to have that dog in her and ruin my season and all my stocks.
Question. If she wins Throw Pink Women's Championship, does Big Germ lose out because she's the first 40-year-old to win at Winthrop?
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work that way. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Go Own. All right, who's your other sell?
Okay, my other sell is Sarah Hokum.
Bold choice when Worlds is at Smugs.
You got a point. You got a point. I just think Sarah's best years are behind her. I love to see that she's working on the backhand. I think that's great. It's been cool seeing her throwing it more. I think she's still a good player. I just think there's too many young, really talented, far-throwing players who are all going to step up this year and push it further down the leaderboard. And that's what's been happening over the past couple of seasons. Sarah Hokum is an incredible dividend stock. She's going to go out there. She's going to finish atop a couple tournaments every single year. But did she win a single tournament this year? I think she won a silver.
She won 2 silvers.
She won 2 silvers.
Yeah, she won Masters Cup, and then she won the Mid-America Open.
Right. And, had some top 10s and such, but, she was 10th this year in the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. I mean, this was a top 3 player in the world a couple years ago, not that long ago.
Yes.
She's not anymore. And I think it's only going to continue down from here, given the age and where she is on that curve, and the fact that we have just so many more players coming into the sport. It's no knock on Sarah Hokum. It's just facts.
It's funny because, when I was looking, I was trying to find another player, maybe like an older player who probably should, I should sell stocks for. And it's incredible how young.
What were you going to say there? Like, go out to pasture?
No. I mean, look, both of your players, how old's Sarah Hokum, right? Like, your players are the 2 probably oldest players in the division.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm definitely.
So I'm like, what, do I pick Juliana Korver? Like, rookie of the year 2 years ago? And
if anything, I feel like JK showed that if she can pick up the putting a little bit, she could actually level up.
It's right. So
10 spots.
So it's remarkable to me, like, how young and how much young talent there is and ascending talent in the FPO division, which makes it really hard to pick another player to sell. But I got to pick one of them, and I decided I was going to make it spicy. I'm going to sell my Maria Oliva stock.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Explain that.
Here we go. 2 reasons. Number 1, I actually could call them like 7 reasons, but you've got the likes of Ella Hansen, Kat Murch, Evelina, Holland, Emily Beach, Hannah Blomroos, Alexis Monajano, Macy Vela-Diaz, right? The list of young FPO players who are ascending talent, who are very good, goes on and on. And some of those players, I think, underperformed where their real ceiling is. Especially, I mean, she finished sandwiched between Evelina Salonen and Holland Hanley. And it would not shock me at all if both of those players had buys to semifinals at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships next week. This year. That's what I meant. I don't know what's going on.
I was going to let it slide.
Thanks. And here's the reason number 2. Maria played terrible she still took second, but she had an 880 rated round at the Shelley Sharp Memorial. And
that is true.
Maria throws far. Like, it's not that she doesn't have distance, right? Maybe if it was own. She lost by 23 strokes to Jennifer Allen. Jennifer Allen, obviously, shot 2,000 rated rounds. Welcome to a far-throwing open Arizona course. Congratulations, Jennifer Allen. But Maria Oliva was 23 strokes behind with an 880 round 2.
It wasn't good.
She tied with an 884 rated player, 62 strokes or PDGA points behind her, and They tied, right? That is, I get she's got a new bag. I get it's early in the season. I don't want to read too much into it, but I'm reading a lot into it, and I'm selling my Maria Oliva stock.
I don't want to read too much into it, but I'm going to sell all my stock because of it.
I gotta sell one of them. I gotta pick one of them, and she has, I think, the highest stock price of a lot of these players that has a chance of going down. So there it is.
Okay. All right, on to our holds. My first one that I will be holding is my Kristen Tatar stock. This is obviously it's not a buy situation.
No.
It's just simply not. There's just no world. It's like buying Tesla at the top of the NFT craze. Like, just don't do it. I just think she's so good that I don't want to sell. I think she could have another amazing season.
Mm-hmm.
And while it almost certainly has to be a little bit worse than it is now, I don't want to find out the hard way when she wins 3 of the 4 majors. I have a great stock. Why would I sell it?
Yep. I also am holding Kristen Tatar for the same reasons. She was one bad putt away from 2 majors, from winning 2 of the 3 majors she played in last year and having a chance at winning. She wasn't that far behind Katrina Allen. She was pushing at Throw Pink Women's Championship.
And don't forget, at Champions Cup, it hit the root and it stood up and it rolled away.
Yeah. could have been a playoff. Kristen, she's so good. She's so good.
Yeah.
So I am also holding my Kristen stock. The other hold that I've got is Valerie Mondahano.
Okay.
There was a point when I think Valerie's price was too high. When we were talking about her being in the big four club, she cooled off, had some outside top 15 finishes that got dropped, and then picked up again and made it to the finals of the Tour Championship with a 5th place at GMC. I like that I have my stock in Valerie. I think that she will probably play better, but she showed me enough concerns that having another new bag makes me want to just kind of stick where I'm at. And I think that it's a nice stock to have, and I'm just going to keep holding it.
I'm going to go with Evelina Salonen for my second hold. I know how great Evelina could be. It would be crazy to sell. We're talking about the number 1 tee to green player in the sport. And so all I need to see is even some like marginal improvements to the putting.
Mm-hmm.
And if I start to see some improvements to the putting, I'm going to buy more, but I got to see it first. I'm not gonna speculate here and try to get in while the price is good. I think I'm fine where I'm at. And if I start to see the peripheral stats going in the right direction, even if the driving goes a little off, kilter, but if the putting gets better, I'm going to load up.
I like it. And now we get to the fun one. Who are you buying?
Who are you buying? There's a lot of buy candidates in FPO
so
right now.
Many.
Jeez. Am I first or you first? I think you're first.
Oh, it is me this time. Yeah. All right. My first buy, all the candidates, and I choose to buy Paige Pierce.
Wow. That's bold.
How often is it that when you look at the overall standings that you see someone like Kristen and are just overwhelmingly convinced that Paige got absolutely smoked in the Player of the Year while still winning a couple majors? Paige had a great season, and it is being undervalued and overshadowed by perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime kind of season out of Kristen Tatar. And I think that means Paige's price is lower than where it should be right now. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe my judgment of her price is a little bit off. And maybe I should wait till after the Texas swing to buy Paige if I'm, being really honest about it. But I do think that the hype around Kristen has, and Katrina Allen winning the last major of the year gives the opportunity for Paige to be purchased at a little bit of a cheaper price than regular. And so I'm going to take my Paige stock. I made the mistake last season of saying that I didn't think Paige would win more than 3 events, I think is what the number I gave was. And that was a mistake, and I'm not making it again.
I think Paige's stock's probably at like a 5-year low right now. Right?
Probably. Yeah.
When's the last time she got beat like this? I think if you think that she's got what it takes to kind of step back up to the plate after a kind of bad close of the season, let's be honest. I mean, she won European Open, but Kristen wasn't playing.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, she had some top 5s, but I mean, that's not getting the job done. And she also had a bunch of finishes outside the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you believe she's going to get back to the winning ways, there's never been a better time to buy. And it's a great, you're right. It's a great opportunity. I bought some Facebook stock 70% off the highs.
There you go.
Everybody hates Facebook. I think I hate Facebook, but they make a lot of money. Okay, let's see. My pick number 1 is, I'm going to go with Henna Blomroos.
I love this pick.
I was really debating on like which I held Evelina stock and I'm going to buy Henna. I really like what I saw at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm catalyzed by what we talked about on Tuesday when in this podcast she talked about having her form be all messed up because of practicing on ice. But when she figured it out, well, look how she played.
Yeah.
I mean, she couldn't have been throwing it any better. I was very impressed by that. And I think that she showed that she has a tremendous talent. And, you know, is the putting... She talked a little bit about the putting, too, in this podcast. And she's basically acknowledged that the form is the problem more than the mentality. Whereas for Evelina, it's very clearly the mentality. They're not the same player. People want to like try to make them the same because they have... I mean, they profile similarly in terms of like throwing skill and putting weakness
in a lot
and things
of ways,
like that. And they're friends, and they're both Finns. But other than that, they're not the same player, right? No. Hannah's much more backhand dominant, but I also think she's got the capacity to be a much better putter. And so that's why I'm buying. That's why I'm buying, because I think that she could come into this year having learned the lessons of 2022, taking it more seriously now in this off season. We could see a monster season from Hannah, and I'm banking on that.
It's a great pick. Who's your other buy?
My other buy, and I mean this, you know, you talk about all these young players that you could go for. I mean, it's true. I'm going to go with Holland Handley. Just love the confidence that she's been showing lately. I think the switch to Discraft is actually probably good for her. It's like some more players around who can like be mentors to her in some ways as she continues to just take what was raw athleticism and try to transform it into disc golf ability. Every single, it feels like we see her make progress on a month-to-month basis. So much skill. And I just think, you know, maybe one of the highest athletic ceilings on tour. I think that's going to start to translate to higher finishes. And I mean, she's already been moving up the board. And look what she did at Worlds. Very impressive stuff. And just honestly, a really strong finish to the year. You know, if you look, where do I even start? Let me start with OTB. Top 10s there. Top 10s preserved. Didn't play very well at Idlewild, 17th. But then didn't miss the top 10 again. The whole year, including a third podium finish at Worlds and then fourth at MVP. And made the semifinals of the DGPT Championship. Now, the argument could be that, well, okay, time to sell, but I don't think so. I think we're seeing a player who's leveling up in front of our eyes, and she's got a chance to be a top 5 player on tour this season.
It's a great pick. For my second buy, when you think of newer players to the sport, what do their with immense talent, their season portfolio looks a lot like Holland's that you kind of described, right? Some lows, but also some really good peaks. My pick is the opposite. I'm going with Ella Hansen. Ella did not really challenge for a lot of wins. And in fact, if you go look at her finishes, it's probably the most unremarkable path to 7th place finish on the DGPT standings. Lots and lots of in between top 5 and top 15s with a stretch of really strong podium finishes. But here's what's remarkable to me. 6th place in park percentage, 7th in circle 1 in regulation, 9th in circle 2 in regulation, 14th in scramble percentage, 33rd in C1X, 28th in circle 2. It's clear where deficiencies lie, but they aren't Achilles heels like Hannah and Evelina. And Ella is only improving, getting stronger, refining her craft, and is still so new to the sport. Like Holland, I think is going to have a real opportunity to break out this season. And because of the way that she got to 7th place on the Pro Tour, I think that the lack of real flashy finishes means that her stock is going to be lower than someone who had a couple of really good places, and that's carrying them there. So I like buying Ella Hansen right now.
Obviously it was a candidate for me as well. I think Holland has the higher ceiling, and that's why I went with Holland. I think
you might be right there.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, Ella can throw further. Ella is just absolutely mashing the disc. But like the all-around skills still favor Holland a little bit. And so that's why I went that direction. But there you go. There's our picks. You can let us know your picks or where we got it wrong. Email us, upshot@ultiworld.com. Make sure you, if you're listening on YouTube, you can get the podcast version. If you're listening on your favorite podcasting app, go check out the YouTube, like and subscribe, and make sure you get yourself an Ultimate World Disc Golf subscription as well for all of our bonus segments and rapid react shows. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying good luck with your stock picks, and we'll talk to you next week.